Once upon a blizzard, in a kingdom where the snowflakes danced like ballerinas and fire was nothing but a bedtime tale, lived a girl named Luma. Her name meant light, but all she'd ever known was frost. She wasn't even tall enough to ride the royal elk, but she had a secret. Her mittens never melted, because hidden inside her heart, burning quietly like a candle in a snowstorm, was a flicker of fire. Luma wasn't a princess. She wasn't a snow queen. They told stories about the crystal flame, a magical ember that once kept the kingdom warm. Either you're magical, or you drank spicy snow again, and accidentally melted the entire pile with a tiny poof of steam from her hand. But not Luma. But it disappeared when the snow war happened. Since then, everything froze. Rivers, forests, even the king's favorite tea. Now, people wore 5 layers of socks and thought fire was a myth. One chilly morning, Luma was stacking ice cubes for fun don't judge. When she sneezed ho, she gasped. Was that me? Also tagging along uninvited was her neighbor, Grumbles, a talking goat with attitude, whose catchphrase was ugh, fine, but I better get snacks, and a thermos labeled soup of destiny. Luma tiptoed past her sleeping village and followed the ancient trail north. Her snowman, Mr. Waddleface, who had no nose and a shoe for an eye, tilted sideways like he'd seen something. She hid her hands in her coat and whispered, "Okay, Luma." Later that night, she snuck into the village library, aka the ice bunker of boring, and opened an ancient scroll titled, "The Flamekeepers of the Crystal Era," like a lullaby wrapped in heat. At the top was a tower made entirely of black ice. It read, "When frost and flame unite, balance will rise from the storm." And next to the words, a symbol, a snowflake wrapped in fire, just like the pendant her grandma used to wear. Her heart started thumping like a reindeer on espresso. She had to know more. She needed to find the crystal flame. The next morning, armed with a backpack full of marshmallows, a sparkrock from the scroll room, half ice, half human, and 100% not thrilled to see them. Joining her was her trusty snowfox, Fizz, who had zero fear and an obsession with shiny things. Without cold, we burn. Together, they ventured into the glacier maze, a magical field of icy illusions, where echoes argued with you and snowmen gave bad directions. Fizz kept running into walls. Grumbles kept complaining about blisters. And Luma? She kept hearing whispers, not spooky ones, gentle ones. She followed the sound until they reached the edge of Ember Cliff, a frozen volcano where even icicles shivered. Inside, floating midair, surrounded by spirals of frozen mist, was a glowing crystal flame. But it wasn't alone. Guarding it was a tall figure, Lady Bruma, the snow warden. "You've come to steal the flame," she asked, her voice like a blizzard. Luma stepped forward. "Not steal. Restore." Lady Bruma narrowed her icy eyes. "The flame brings chaos. Only frost brings peace." Luma removed her mittens. Tiny flickers of fire danced on her fingertips. "Fire isn't chaos," she said. "It's part of balance. Without warmth, we freeze." Lady Bruma raised a snow spear. "Then show me. Your fire isn't foolish." What followed was the most epic snowball-fireball duel ever. Just a girl who believed that fire and ice didn't have to fight. Fizz rode snowflakes like roller skates. Grumbles used icicles as drumsticks. And Luma dodged, leapt, and finally, using all her courage, launched a single, glowing fire heart right into Bruma's chest. Silence. Then crack. Her icy armor melted. Bruma gasped, touched her heart, and smiled for the first time in centuries. You are the Flamekeeper." She stepped aside. The crystal flame floated into Luma's hands. It shimmered. It sparkled. He sneezed. Fizz accidentally licked it. Zab. Back in Frostfall, the villagers were shocked when warmth returned. Snow melted. Flowers bloomed. Socks were reduced from 5 layers to 1. But best of all, tea was hot again. The king wept into his cup. "My cinnamon brew has returned." And Luma? She became the first flamekeeper in generations. Not a queen, not a warrior, because sometimes the brightest warmth comes from the coldest places, and the bravest hearts carry both flame and frost. The end.